Welcome back to What's Now. It's an important thing to do to reassess your homeowner's insurance before the next disaster. Big weather events are getting more frequent and more costly. So I spoke with the president of the National Association of Insurance Commissioners about how to make sure you have the correct coverage you need. Let's find out more.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
Doing good. Weather events are getting more destructive and costly, but at the same time, many consumers mistakenly believe that homeowners insurance covers flooding, and it's important to realize that not everyone is eligible for FEMA assistance, and any assistance from FEMA will not be enough to rebuild. Joining us today is Eric Cioppa, president of the NAIC, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, and superintendent of the Maine Bureau of Insurance. He's here to discuss the importance of reducing your risk in the face of increasing natural disasters. Thank you for talking with us today.
Thank you for having me, Christine.
So this is an important issue for consumers. There's climate change, climate risk, lots of things going on with bigger storms. Tell me more about that.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. The number of storms are increasing and the severity of those storms is increasing, and that translates into higher losses for consumers. So that it's now more than ever, it's really important that consumers understand their risk. And you'd reference, one of the most common misconceptions out there is flooding events are covered by your homeowner's policy. And that's one of the worst calls I take in my office when someone said, I thought I was covered for a flood. Flooding events are not covered by your homeowner's insurance. You need to purchase that coverage separately. And consumers really need to understand that. And in fact, consumers should review their coverages annually with their insurance agent to determine what coverages they need.
And it can be so discouraging when you realize that you don't have that insurance. You think, oh, I have homeowners insurance, it's going to cover everything, but that's just not the case.
Exactly. And that's why, the last thing people want to do at night is read an insurance policy, but they really should. They really should read their policy, go over it with their agent. And there's a wonderful resource in Utah, the Utah Insurance Department. It's a state agency. You can get to their contact information by looking through NAIC.org. They're a wonderful resource as well. You can reach out to the Utah department, and they have consumer assisters who can help consumers and answer their questions. But again, you don't want to wait for the disaster to happen. You want to read your policy and understand what coverages you have and what gaps you have in your coverage.
What can you do when you find out you have certain gaps, but in order to cover that, it's just too costly for you? Are there any other options?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, the options may be you can only afford less coverage, but at least you need to understand that. Flood insurance is surprisingly affordable, and homeowners generally is affordable. But maybe there's some options, like you can get an actual cash value instead of replacement value. So there are options, or a higher deductible sometimes is advisable if it's an affordability issue, but it has to be a conscious decision, because you don't want to make a decision based solely on price, because if you have an event, you may think your coverage is more extensive than it actually is.
So very true. Is there anything else we should do to get ready for a natural disaster?
Well, there's an app called on NAIC.org is the NAIC website. It's a couple things. One, you can find the contact information from Utah by clicking on the map of the United States contained on that website. But also there's a couple apps I want to make people aware of. One is an inventory application. By using your cell phone, you can take an inventory of your household contents, and I would strongly suggest people do that, store that inventory off-site along with the policy, so if you have an event, it'll make the claims adjustment process that much easier. And there's another app called What the Flood, it's an interactive app that'll tell consumers all they need to know about flood insurance.
That's such an important tip, stored off-site.
Yes.
What is the number one thing you can do to protect against storms and other disasters down the road?
Again, refer to your policy and your agent to make sure you understand what gaps you have and address those as best you can.
Really important information. Where can we find out more about everything we talked about today?
Go to NAIC.org, and there's a lot of information there. And for the citizens of Utah, go to the Utah Department of Insurance. They have a lot of Utah-specific information there as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Eric Cioppa, for talking with us here in Park City today.
Thank you, Christine.